Hello! Welcome to your professional development session, Getting Started with Science Fusion, K5 2017. My name is Joseph. I'll be your facilitator for the next 3 hours. And by the end of this session, you'll feel comfortable and empowered to use our Science Fusion program in your classroom. I was a classroom teacher for about 10 years, and I learned through those years how to teach science using an inquiry-based method. This means engaging students in their learning, drawing upon their prior knowledge, getting them interested in something that's relevant and important to them, and allowing them to make the discoveries. Houghton Mifflin Science Fusion engages learners in a three-dimensional method. We use digital, print, hands-on, as well as virtual labs and video-based lessons to create a learning environment that enriches and supports all. Let's talk about what we're going to do today for today's agenda. First of all, we're going to create the learning environment, what allows you to learn, what allows your students to learn, and more importantly, what inhibits learning, what stops them from becoming engaged, active learners. We'll talk about the student experience, what a student sees in the Houghton Mifflin digital platform, how they navigate through that site to find resources that's appropriate for them. We'll talk about how you can teach using Science Fusion, how you can provide relevant, timely resources to your students, how it can make you more efficient teachers, more productive teachers, and teachers that can differentiate and provide material and curriculum and content that's appropriate to all of your students. We'll look at the platform. You'll actually have a chance to work with the Houghton Mifflin digital platform to see where these resources are located, to become comfortable and confident in how to use them. We'll plan your first week and the next 3 weeks so that going forward, starting tomorrow, you can use Houghton Mifflin Fusion in your classroom, feel comfortable, both as a teacher and knowing how the student will experience it. Finally, we'll culminate the learning. We'll talk about what we learned today. We'll make sure we've addressed your concerns, your needs, your issues regarding the process. And we'll leave you with a wealth of resources and support that going forward you can use to continue your program. So let's get started. My commitment to you as a professional is to empower you to use this program. You're the professional in your classroom. You know your students well. You know what works in your school. You know the demands of your curriculum, your school, your tests, and your community. We provide you with a wealth of resources. You decide how to use them. You will begin implementing K5 Science Fusion tomorrow in your classroom, in your environment, in a way that meets your needs and your students. During these presentations, I've spoken with many teachers, and a number of themes come up. Teachers are concerned about how do they enrich their daily instruction. K5 teachers have limited time for science, may not be subject matter experts. K5 Fusion offers resources that make you comfortable with the material. We'll teach you how the K5 Science Fusion is organized, where to find these resources, and the pedagogy behind it. How it's set up. These lessons, the 5E learning is infused throughout every K5 lesson, and it becomes a standard in which students can learn. Students want to be offered an environment that is differentiated. We support differentiation, assessment, and effective whole and small group instruction using Science Fusion resources and tools. You as a teacher can use these tools to create an effective learning climate, both in small groups, large groups, and individual instruction. There's a variety of resources for your ELL as well as your enrichment learners that can thrive and learn through all learning scenarios. Finally, we want to enhance instructional delivery and student learning using HMH technology. You're busy. You've got so much to do. And spending time doing paperwork, testing, planning is something that doesn't meet your needs to the best. Science Fusion, digital version, allows you to plan, manage, assign, and evaluate student progress to see where they're learning, where the gaps are, and what needs to be addressed. It makes you more efficient and productive teachers and leaves you more time to do what you do best, which is teach your students. Most importantly, right now, we need to talk about the learning climate. What is it that you as a learner need to enhance your learning, both today in this program and what your students need in the classroom? Think about what enhances your learning, what helps you to develop, and more importantly, what inhibits or restricts your learning. What type of events, what type of material, what type of situations restrict your learning? Take about 3 minutes, talk with your partner, and let's talk about some of those ideas. Welcome back. Let's talk about what you came up with. Restricting. Dull worksheets. One for everybody, all the same, rote material. No differentiation. No addressing different learning styles. Visual, auditory, hands-on. Everything is the same, one size fits all, nothing different, nothing differentiated. Nothing is assessed. There is no feedback as to work that is done well or work that needs improvement. Right? Lessons that are taught once and forgotten. Lessons that are taught in kindergarten and never seen again. And finally, complex text, nonfiction text that students are not comfortable with, that causes them confusion and difficulty in understanding and has no relevance to their real life world. Things that enhance learning. Let's talk about that for a minute. Engaging relevant content. Remember the 5E model of learning. Engage. Nobody's really interested unless they find what they're learning is important to them and relevant at that moment. It's got to be relevant to their lives now, to the life they live in, and they see it applying to their future. Multiple learning styles. Seeing, hearing, doing. Engaging and activating all parts of the brain. Students learn best when they see, hear, and do this over and over again. Opportunities to think, practice, and revise. Sometimes teachers are reluctant to allow students the chance to explore and to fail, seeing that things didn't go right. But failure and revisiting your experiences and your thoughts is the way to learn. Houghton Mifflin gives opportunities to think, practice, and revise. Engineering practices that are embedded in the 21st century skills and engineering concepts of the next generation science standards. Spiraling complexity and reinforcement. What's taught in first grade and kindergarten moves on to second, third, fourth, and fifth, with increasing complexity and reinforcement. As students grow, they apply the concepts, the core concepts, in new, different, and more complex ways. And finally, formative assessment. As you teach, it's important to know that what's been learned and the content that's been mastered is mastered well and understood before moving on to skills or knowledge that enhances or moves on from that knowledge. Formative assessment is embedded in Houghton Mifflin, as well as opportunities for summative assessment and hands-on real-world situation labs that they can demonstrate student competence. All learners can see, do, and excel using the Houghton Mifflin Science Fusion 2017 program. So we've discussed what makes an effective learning climate, what enhances instruction, and what inhibits instruction. You know as a classroom teacher that it's critical to establish boundaries at the first week of school. What's expected of your students, what your students can expect from you, so that they're safe and empowered to learn in your classroom. They're able to make mistakes, they're able to grow, and they're able to expand their own knowledge. In the last few minutes, I'd like to talk about what we're going to do for the rest of the day. And I would suggest that you might want to use this in your own classroom as you begin to use Science Fusion. There are 3 types of engagement as we go through the digital lessons. You'll see a sign that indicates red. Red means instructor-led, devices or materials are at half-mast or closed so that the entire attention is on the instructor. This is a directed instruction, new material, directed by you. Yellow would be a paired session where the instructor, myself, or you as a classroom teacher would be working with students with their devices at the same time. You would be demonstrating a procedure while they practice the procedure. And finally, green, independent student work. They're engaged, they're working by themselves. You yourselves during this presentation are working on your digital devices. Some of you will want to go forward, explore, and look at options, while others might need some hands-on guidance. During those time periods, I'll come around and help you as you navigate through the digital platform and become more comfortable with digital fusion. Right. We encourage you to use that same method in your classroom with your students as you explore and get more comfortable with science fusion. Finally, let's talk about the rest of the day. Your administrator, your technology coordinator has set up your devices with a digital fusion program that we can work with today. You'll get to see the student experience and you'll get to see the teacher experience. As I mentioned before, we'll talk about what the student sees, we'll talk about the teacher tools that are available to you, we'll plan your lessons, and we'll conclude and talk about your concerns throughout the day. Remember, you're not left alone. The goal today is to make you comfortable with science fusion starting from tomorrow, starting from day one. But I'm going to leave you with ample resources that you can follow up on through digital and through my own contact information, that if you have any questions whatsoever, you can follow up and be comfortable using digital science fusion. So with that said, we'll take a 2-minute break, we'll come back, we'll get onto your devices, we'll look at the student experience and see how powerful digital fusion will be for your classroom and your students, and how you'll be empowered to be an effective classroom teacher and engage your students in lifelong learning. Thank you.